The cracks appear, daylight tremors. Morning settles strangely over the crew of the Morningstar. Lucien Devereaux wakes from a dream that isn't quite a dream. Evelyn senses the angel egg whispering in colors it shouldn't know, and the shop's ghosts feel a little closer than usual. In the streets beyond, omens shift in Renard Blackwood's path, and a quiet child returns with an offering the house seems eager to accept. Something old is turning in its sleep, and the day has only just begun. The water beneath the stone. The courtyard dreamed of rain. Moonlight draped the old Devereaux estate in silver, soft as breath over bone. The air was still, no wind, no insects, no pulse. But the fountain moved. It rippled as though remembering a storm no one else could feel. Lucien Devereaux stepped barefoot across the stones. His reflection followed, wavered, then broke apart as the water stirred itself awake. The marble cherubs that once poured endless streams of grace now watched with hollow eyes, mouths frozen mid-hymn. The scent of river lilies hung thick, though none had bloomed here for centuries. He stopped before the fountain. The basin was deep, darker than the sky, a black mirror with its own weather. When he leaned close, he saw not himself, but the shimmer of another face, pale, familiar, impossibly young. Sabine. Her eyes opened beneath the surface like a secret being remembered. No bubbles rose. Her hair drifted like silk in slow water, framing her face with the grace of someone perfectly still. She looked not dead, but waiting. "Lucien," she said, and her voice did not echo through the courtyard, but through him. It was the same tone she used when calling him in for supper, when the light of childhood had not yet gone to ash. "Lucien, don't forget me." He wanted to tell her that he hadn't, that he never could, that every century was a bruise in her shape, but the words tangled in his throat. The water trembled. Her hand rose from the depths, pale fingers reaching for his. Drops fell from the marble rim like tears that had been collecting for a very long time. Lucien Devereaux reached back. The instant before his skin met hers, the surface shattered into light, not a flash, an unraveling. Moonlight fracturing into 1,000 thin threads, sewing itself through the courtyard, the walls, the sky. The world turned white. Then darkness folded back in on itself. Lucien woke. The ceiling beams of the Krewe loomed above him, warped with age, lined with dust that never quite settled. Somewhere, something dripped, a slow, deliberate rhythm like the counting of time. The scent of cedar and rain hung in the air. He sat up. His breath came in shallow draws, the edges of the dream still clinging to him like cobweb silk. On his bed, the sketchbook lay open. Charcoal smudged his fingertips, though he didn't remember touching it. Across the page, the fountain, perfectly rendered, every ripple exact. In the water's reflection, a pale face gazed upward. Her face, and beneath her hand, the faint outline of a locket glimmering in the dark. Lucien closed the book slowly. The page whispered as it folded shut. The sound of dripping continued. He couldn't tell whether it came from the roof or from somewhere much closer down below in the courtyard that never truly slept. Outside, the fountain dreamed on. Interlude: The Garden and the Fox. Before dawn, Madame Claudette sang to her roses. The Marigny still slept, roofs silvered by moonlight, streets dreaming in puddles. Her garden, small, fenced, perfumed with last night's rain, glowed faintly under her hem. She wore an old shawl, the one stitched with protective charms she claimed not to believe in anymore, and hummed the melody her grandmother had said could keep ghosts polite. The roses listened. Some flowers do. She bent to pinch away a wilted petal when something moved, quick, red and alive, darting between the rows. A flash of russet fur, a glint of clever eyes, then gone beneath the wrought iron fence with a flick of its tail. Claudette straightened, pulse light but steady.
A fox,
she murmured.
or a reminder.
The morning wind carried back a faint laugh that might have been on the river, or memory. Inside, her parlor smelled of cardamom and dust. The tarot box on her table stood open, though she was certain she had closed it before bed. Cards lay scattered like startled birds. Every single one bore the same painted image, a red fox curled within a circle of candles, eyes wide open. Her hand hovered above them. The illustration shimmered once, as if winking, then dulled to stillness.
Well then,
she said softly, the smile in her voice, half prayer, half warning.
the trickster's awake.
Outside, the roses trembled, though the air was calm. Morning, the quiet between. Morning came quietly to the crew of the Morningstar, as it always did, without hurry, without apology, filtering through stained glass and fractured colors. Gold light pooled over dust that never quite settled. Somewhere in the rafters, the old wood sighed, remembering what it used to be. The air smelled of tea and cedar polish. The faint ghost of incense burned long ago. Every object in the shop seemed to be dreaming of its own history. A cracked porcelain doll blinked as the light shifted. A row of clocks murmured to each other in ticks, too soft to measure. Evelyn moved through it all with habitual grace, trailing a small wake of calm wherever she passed. Her presence was the sort that made haunted things hesitate before misbehaving. She carried 2 cups of tea, steam curling upward like the breath of something newly woken. Lucien Devereaux was standing by the front window, where the sunlight fell through a pane of rose-colored glass and painted his skin in warm hues he never truly belonged in. The light caught in his ginger hair and the soft edge of his beard, setting them briefly aflame before fading into the day's quieter gold. His coat hung loosely from his shoulders, one hand resting against the old display counter, as if the furniture might keep him anchored to the present. He didn't look up when she entered. His gaze was fixed on the courtyard doors. "You've been awake since before dawn," Evelyn said softly. Lucien smiled faintly, though it didn't quite reach his eyes.
The walls are restless.
"They often are," she said, setting 1 cup beside him, "especially when the past forgets it's supposed to stay buried." He chuckled, a dry sound, polite and distant.
Even the ghosts are bored this time of year.
But his fingers tapped lightly against the counter, a rhythm too deliberate to be idle. Evelyn watched him for a moment, her eyes patient, the morning light caught in the loose coils of her dark, honey-colored hair, piled high and carelessly regal, the sort of arrangement that spoke of ritual rather than vanity. He was not lying, not exactly, but he was smoothing the truth down until it became polite. When she spoke again, it was half jest, half warning. Even the egg feels it. That earned a glance, just a flicker, quick as a bird's wing.
Does it?
He asked. Evelyn tilted her head toward the back room, restless light, like it's catching someone else's dream. Lucien lifted his cup and studied the faint swirl of steam.
Then it's not just me,
he said, smiling with the same old charm, the one that always seemed borrowed from another century. Perhaps not, she said, but her eyes stayed on him a moment longer, reading the small cracks he kept hidden between words. He turned back to the window, to the courtyard that waited behind the glass. The fountain glimmered faintly in the filtered light, still and silent. If he saw the shape beneath the surface, he didn't say. The back room of the Krewe was a cathedral built for quiet things. Light fell dimly through the high-vented windows, scattering against dust motes and old glass. Shelves lined the walls, bottles of powdered memory, fragments of mirrors too dangerous to reassemble, and a single table upon which the angel egg rested beneath a veil of silk. Evelyn stepped inside, her tea cooling in her hand. Her long velvet dress brushed the floor as she moved, whispering against the old wood. She was not merely standing in the room. She seemed to settle into it, like a piece of history aligning itself with the present. The air had a pulse. That was the first thing she noticed. Not a sound, pressure. A faint hum that wasn't quite noise, but something felt behind the ribs. The egg's glow was uneven, gold bleeding into pale blue and back again, as though unsure what it wanted to be. She set down her cup and crossed the floor slowly. "Good morning," she murmured, her voice warm but steady. "You're not usually awake this early." The angel egg pulsed once, faintly in acknowledgement, or irritation. It was difficult to tell with celestial relics. She touched her hand lightly on the side of the angel egg's basket. It was cool at first, then warmed beneath her touch, as if the object were listening. "Hush now," she whispered. "He's only remembering." The pulse slowed. The light steadied to a soft honeyed glow, reflecting in her eyes. "That's better," she said. "We all have our moods." Outside the door, the building creaked. The Krewe always seemed to breathe after she spoke to it, like an old animal shifting its weight in sleep. Evelyn picked up her tea again, took a slow sip, and glanced back at the egg before leaving. Its light remained calm, golden and even. The corridor outside was a tunnel of shadow and muted sound. The air smelled faintly of wax and citrus oil. Evelyn paused by the doorway, listening. From the shop beyond came the faint scratch of pen on paper. Steady, deliberate, precise. Lucien at his desk, she thought. writing inventory notes or repairing some forgotten ledger. The rhythm was almost hypnotic. She smiled to herself, reassured by the familiarity of it. The crew functioned best when its ghosts were contained within routine. She pushed open the door to the front of the shop. Lucien was still by the window, though the sunlight had shifted to a deeper gold, touching the edges of his hair. His pen moved across the notebook, looping in elegant strokes. The page looked half filled from where she stood, but she didn't want to intrude. He worked like a man, tracing the outline of something only he could see. Evelyn set her cup down and began to straighten the counter, aligning the glass charms in neat rows. Her movements were quiet, efficient, deliberate, yet her thoughts hummed elsewhere. Lucien was too still, too contained. Even the air around him felt like it was waiting for a sound that never came. She caught her reflection in a display mirror, a flash of dark honey hair, dark eyes, the faintest smudge of light on her shoulder. And for an instant, she thought she saw another reflection behind her, a ripple like water disturbed, but when she turned, the glass was calm again. "Strange morning," she said aloud, mostly to herself. Lucien didn't answer. He set down his pen and closed the book with quiet finality. Then, as if realizing she was watching, he smiled again, that careful, practiced expression that meant, "The conversation is over." Evelyn nodded, accepting the truce. "I'll be in the back if you need me."
I won't.
He said gently without looking up. She left him there with the ghosts and the sunlight, her footsteps soft on the wooden floor. Behind her, the faint sound of dripping resumed, steady, patient, older than both of them. By the time she reached the back room again, the egg's glow had returned to calm gold. It pulsed once, faint and even, as if to say, "I'm listening still." Evelyn exhaled softly, her hand brushing the doorway. "Keep watch," she whispered. "He won't admit it, but he's frightened." The egg's light flickered in quiet agreement. Outside, in the courtyard, the fountain rippled once beneath the morning sun, though no wind touched the water at all. Midday echoes in the street. The sun above New Orleans sprawled over the quarter like a cat in a patch of heat. Indolent, gold, unbothered. Balconies shimmered, their wrought iron lacework dripping with sunlight. The air smelled of sugar, coffee, and the far-off hush of the river. Renaud Blackwood moved through it all with the kind of grace that looked accidental, though nothing about him ever truly was. His dark curls caught the light when he turned his head, a halo of chaos, barely contained by charm. He had that unsettling combination of mischief and sincerity that made people trust him against their better judgment. His sleeves were rolled to the elbows, waistcoat faintly threadbare, the color of dried wine. The years had lent him quiet confidence, the posture of someone built on instinct and survival, broad-shouldered and unhurried. He looked like a man who had once danced through fire and decided to keep the scent of smoke as part of his cologne. The French market was loud with bargaining and bells, but beneath the noise pulsed a quieter heartbeat, the one that belonged to the place itself. It was that pulse he followed unwittingly as he moved among the stalls of trinkets and promises. A sudden gust rose from nowhere, overturning a fortune teller's deck. Cards scattered into the air like startled doves. One brushed against his boot and clung there, stubbornly. Renard bent and lifted it. The Queen of Foxes. He froze. The card was hand-painted, colors muted with age. A woman smiled faintly from its surface. The fur of a fox curled around her throat like flame. The edge was singed in a perfect crescent. The smell of sawdust and candle smoke rose from it, his family's scent, the carnival's perfume. He turned it in his fingers once, twice. Then he slipped it into his pocket with a sigh that tasted of resignation. Somewhere behind him, a carousel tune began to play. Too slow, too far away. He didn't look back. He simply walked on, the music dissolving into the heat until only the sound of his footsteps remained. In his pocket, the card warmed once, briefly, like a memory deciding to live again. The crew of the Morningstar wore midday like a velvet shawl, heavy, quiet, perfumed with dust and sandalwood. The colored light from the stained glass windows pooled across the floor, slow as honey. The bell above the door chimed, soft and uncertain. Evelyn looked up from behind the counter and saw him, the boy in the blue raincoat. He'd been here before. The last time he hadn't spoken much, simply placed 2 small marbles on the counter as payment for a charm. This time he met her eyes, solemn and self-possessed, in a way that made her heart ache. The sleeves of his raincoat swallowed his hands, but his chin was lifted like a small knight come to fulfill a quest. "Hello again," Evelyn said gently. "You found us." He nodded.
"The sister said it was all right. Just for a little while."
"You're always welcome," she said. "Would you like to look around?" He moved among the shelves, inspecting everything with grave attention. The shop's filtered light turned his hair to pale gold. He nodded again and wandered among the shelves, moving with deliberate precision. His gaze slid over crystals, brass compasses, old charms, studious, not covetous. When he stopped at the small glass bowl of crescent moon charms, his eyes lingered.
"I had a good dream last night,"
he said softly.
"so I thought I should get a charm for when the good ones run out."
Evelyn smiled. "Dreams are meant to replenish themselves, you know."
"Still,"
he said almost apologetically,
"I want to be prepared."
Evelyn unwrapped a square of soft paper from the counter, ready to fold it around the charm. The boy reached into his pocket and drew out a single marble. He held it out wordlessly on his small palm. It shimmered with shifting color, blue and green, the hues of deep water seen through glass.
"This one's extra special,"
he said, his voice low but certain.
"If you hold it to the light just right, you can see the ocean inside."
Evelyn took it delicately, lifting it toward the sunlight. The colors inside stirred, waves caught in eternal motion. She smiled. "You're right. It's beautiful." The marble glowed faintly in her hand, the light refracting across her rings. "A perfect trade," she said. The words were part of the crew's oldest custom. Acknowledgement, not negotiation. The boy's mouth twitched in what might have been pride. She placed the wrapped charm in his hand, tying it with silver thread. "The crew thanks you," she said. The boy bowed his head slightly.
"And I thank the crew."
When he stepped back into the sunlight, the bell above the door chimed once, clear as glass struck by a fingertip. The sound lingered long after he'd gone. Evelyn stood still, looking at the spot where the light had bent around him. Then she turned her attention to the small, perfect marble resting in her palm. When she set it on the counter, the sun caught it just right. The shimmer within it glowed, alive and fluid. "Extra special indeed," she murmured. Outside, a streetcar rattled past, bells chiming faintly. The day settled back to its ordinary rhythm, though for an instant the air and the crew seemed to hum as if listening, curious. Evelyn brushed a hand across her velvet skirt, smiled to herself, and returned to her ledger. The marble sat beside her tea, catching the light like a tiny ocean contained. And somewhere beyond the quarter's rooftops, faint as breath and older than memory, a few bars of carnival music drifted through the heat before dissolving into silence. The crew holds its breath as the sunlight begins to fade. The strange calm that settled over the day doesn't comfort anyone, not really. Objects hum with memory. Shadows ripple in places they shouldn't. And both Lucien and the egg seem quietly haunted by things they won't yet name. When night comes, it will bring its own truths and its own visitors.